are you ready to talk about the team that actually did a good thing on Sunday and lost to the Dolphins?
I sure am. I'm always ready to talk about the search for a quarterback.
The tank in progress?
Yeah. I mean, it'd be great if I knew, like, if I was assured, like, yeah, we're not going to win another game this year. You know, we are tanking. We're going for the first overall pick, but something stupid's going to happen. They're going to face the Chargers. Well, that's the final game of the season. They're going to face, like, I mean, this week they're playing the Broncos, a team that's very much in the playoff hunt, which is crazy and annoying to me. You know, just right there, like, I saw somebody sent a picture of the current standings in the AFC West. Chiefs are 9-1. The Chargers are now 7-3, and the Broncos, I believe, are 6-4, if not 6-5. 6-5.
They should be 7-4, dude.
The block kick against the Chiefs, and the Chiefs should be 8-2, only one game above the Chargers. Like, that game was huge for them.
Yep.
And then you have the Raiders, who are currently slotted for the 4th overall pick in the draft at 2-8, and it's just like, if the Raiders were like 4-6 right now, I'd be in hell. I would be in shambles because I'd have no hope, not only for the short term this season of, like, yeah, we're not passing any of them up, but also chances are we're like a near 500 team and we're going to keep it that way the rest of the year, just like always, right? Whereas this year it's like, oh my God, we finally have the shitty enough quarterback that can actually lose us all of these games. And potentially, if we're being honest, this might be a little harsh, but, like, we might also have the shitty enough coach to make us lose these games, you know? So, hey, last year I was doing quite the opposite of slandering Antonio Pierce. And honestly, I was really talking up Patrick Graham. And as far as recapping this Dolphins game, the defense lost this game. The defense sucked in this game. What's new for Raider fans, right? I don't know if it's low energy. I don't know if it's low morale. I don't know if these players, like, after the game, Max Crosby said, you know, at this point, we're just playing for our pride, you know? And, you know, besides money, yeah, he's right. They are just playing for pride at this point. And honestly, I hope they have no fucking pride. I hope they fucking swallow their pride and just suck the rest of the way, please.
Let's just recap what the defense gave up today. So Tua Tagovailoa, 28 of 36 with 288 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Devon Achane, 17 carries, 73 yards, 1 touchdown. I'm just going to go over the notable players. Okay. Jonnu Smith, 6 catches, 101 yards. That comes out to 16.8 yards per catch. 2 touchdowns. Yeah. The 2 touchdowns, that's killer. Tyreek Hill, 7 catches, 61 yards, 1 touchdown. Jalen Waddle, not as, really involved in this game, but really that's the story of his season. And Mike is frustrated because I traded him Jalen Waddle pretty early. But Jalen Waddle, 2 catches, 37 yards, so pretty efficient, but underutilized has been the sort of trend with him this season. Devon Achane, 4 receptions, 32 yards. Julian Hill, 2 catches, 28 yards. Odell Beckham Jr., 2 catches, 13 yards. Malik Washington, 3 catches, 11 yards. All right.
That's probably it.
I'm going to cut it off there.
Yeah.
Jalen Ramsey, an interception on Gardner Minshew.
Yeah, that was at the end of the game, I think.
Aside from the interception, it didn't seem like Minshew played that poorly based off the stat sheet. 30 of 43.
That's my thing. Like, the offense was actually playing good, and they were driving quite often in this game. Um, Hence why I say the defense lost this game. Like, I think up until the third quarter, the Raiders were really in this game, like really in this game. Even possibly even in the fourth quarter, like they might have only been a one possession game, and then you had a big one to Jonnu Smith, and that just kind of broke it open to a two possession game, and the Dolphins kept it that way the rest of the way.
Yeah,
But it
17
was
points in the fourth quarter.
yeah. So and really, there were a few penalties on defense, and there were just drives that the Dolphins were able to keep alive when the Raiders had a chance to stop it, and they just didn't. And then one other notable thing that I noticed in this game was that early on, Jacorian Bennett was taken out by a friendly fire by a teammate. I don't know his name. I don't know who this guy is. No offense. I think he's a linebacker. He got hit and he got a shoulder injury. He was out for the rest of the game. Like, change the game. I think Jacorian Bennett is that good. Not in the sense like he should be a Pro Bowler or something like that, but just like for this defense, he is that much significantly better than Decameron Richardson or Decameron Richardson, however you say it. Because it sure looks to be that Bennett is that much better. So losing him was not good. You already were without Nate Hobbs today, so it makes sense that Tyreek Hill had a good game, and you had a blown coverage, which allowed the big Jonnu Smith touchdown. I think Trevon Merrick still had a good game, but otherwise, it's like not many players on defense are having good games. Tackling wise, Jack Jones had a good game. He was getting in there. Tyree Wilson had a strip sack. It was recovered by the Dolphins, but hey, it's nice to see, right? Max Crosby didn't have a sack. Adam, why am I forgetting his last name? Adam, wow. Well, our defensive tackle had a sack. Adam Butler, thank you. Man, I was like, it's not Adam Jones. It's not Adam Jones. Stop thinking Jones. Yes, Adam Butler had a sack.
You're like, it's not Jones. Is it Jones?
Yeah. But I'd say the other notable thing, maybe this would be the main issue still with the Raiders offense. Who do you think was the leading rusher today for the Raiders? Don't look it up.
I know who it is. It's Alexander Madison, and he got knocked out of the game.
Okay. I'm sure in carries you are correct. In yards, who do you think was the leading rusher?
All right. I'm not I don't have the stat sheet pulled up. Well, I know for a fact it wasn't Brock Bowers. He had the least amount of yards with -3. Was it Minshew?
I just want to confirm this, but from what I saw earlier, it was Jacoby Myers with 20 yards rushing on one carry.
All right, let's see here. You are correct. Yeah, Jacoby Myers, 1 carry for 20 yards, and Alexander Madison, 5 carries, 19 yards. Not the worst. I think, definitely.
It's just the usage. That's 3.8 yards per carry. That's fine. It's just why didn't he get 15?
Yeah,
and Zamir White gets 5 for 9.
Yeah, which is
that's
very,
horrible.
very inefficient.
Yeah. But I mean, the only notable thing on offense, well, other than like the offense being able to drive down the field, like Gardner Minshew was not playing that bad. The most notable thing on offense was Brock Bowers. 13 catches, 126 yards, and a touchdown.
Yep.
The most catches ever by a rookie tight end in a single game.
Hey, shout out to Pia's dad, because Pia's dad said that 89 will probably be breaking records.
Yeah.
He said 89 and 15 would probably break a record at some point this year. So there it is. 13, for a 126. So shout out to Brock Bowers. He had 9 more catches than the next closest guy. Brock Bowers was the offense today.
Yep.
The next closest guy yardage wise was Alexander Madison, 3 catches for 50 yards. And then the next closest guy in terms of receptions was Jacoby Myers, 4 catches for 28 yards.
So I'll just say this right now, just because, you saying like Brock Bowers was the offense, it kind of triggered me in a positive way. Because for one thing, that's been my sort of assumption, hope of like what would come of the offense, right? I know that Brock Bowers can be that guy. Now everybody knows he can be that guy, right? Like since they got rid of Devontae Adams, it's been pretty clear. Like, oh yeah, he is that guy. I think Jacoby Myers is a severely underrated player in the NFL, and I think, although I wouldn't necessarily say he should be like a wide receiver 1, like I think he's a high end wide receiver 2 for a team. And I mean, technically speaking, having Bowers be like the main focal point of the offense, it fits for Jacoby Myers. I really, really like Jacoby Myers for this roster, for this offense. Which I guess brings me to my point. I really think all this team needs is a great offensive line coach. I mean, first and foremost, obviously a quarterback, but a great offensive line coach, maybe 1 or 2 guys on the line, probably at one of the guard spots for sure. We've got to see how Delmar Glaze does at right tackle. But and then you need a fucking running back. That's really it. And it then you go into who's the head coach, who's the defensive coordinator, how are we looking on defense next year? We have a lot of free agents upcoming on defense, but it's not, Rome was not built in a year. Chances are neither will a NFL roster. But I think big strides can be made this offseason to where I can witness the Raiders winning a playoff game by the time I'm 60.
Yeah, so, you said Rome is not built in a year. I got one for you, Raider fans. The Raiders were not built in 20 years.
Yeah. Yeah, let's hope that they can get built in 25.
Yeah. All right, so are we ready to move on to next week's game against the Broncos?
Yes.
All right. I think that the Broncos are going to curb stomp the Raiders. I really do. I think the Bo Nix is playing very well, and I know that's the guy that you wanted to bring up because we had reactions of him during draft season. And so far right now, I mean, all right, we talked about Jaden Daniels quite a bit, on this podcast. But, I mean, Bo Nix is being a sneaky pick for Rookie of the Year. If Jaden Daniels falls off, who knows? It could be Bo Nix.
Yeah, I still think chances are it's gonna be Jaden Daniels, so long as they keep winning. But hey, if they say the Eagles win that division, and like you said, Jaden Daniels just kind of falls off a little bit, and Bo Nix keeps up what he did this week, yeah, he'll be the Rookie of the Year. And where I was going earlier in this pod, I essentially said I fucked up on draft day because I was euphoric when the Broncos drafted him because I just felt like, yeah, that's the type of quarterback that goes in the second round and becomes absolutely nothing. And maybe this is a testament to Sean Payton. But from what I'm seeing, I feel like it's a testament to Bo Nix, dude. He's a stud. And that's so sketchy for the fucking Raiders, dude. Because my hope was like they picked the wrong quarterback. It's going to set him back 5 years. Thank you, God. But now it's like, well, we have three playoff teams in this division. And then you have the Raiders fighting for the first overall pick. That's what we're dealing with right now. And it's just like, I'm slightly okay with it in the sense of like, we need a quarterback that bad. But otherwise, this is fucking hell. This is Raider hell.
If you could trade Brock Bowers right now for Bo Nix, would you do it?
No.
No?
No, and that's probably stupid, but I I would rather just draft the quarterback. And then you have a Brock Bowers. I honestly, at that point, you might have you know, this is extremely wishful thinking. I'm not saying this is what's going to happen, but then you have the Mahomes to Kelsey connection, right? But if you trade Bowers for the quarterback, it's like, well, Bo Nix has looked good, but do we really think he can be that good? I mean, that's a little bit of saying like take a box or a boat, like perhaps Bo Nix is a boat. We know he can succeed in the NFL, whereas Shadur Sanders or Cam Ward, you know, maybe they're another boat, but maybe they're not, right? I don't know. So, but maybe they're better than maybe they're a yacht. That's where my mind's at is like, yeah, I could. Well, the Broncos won't trade him for one thing, but yeah, sure, I could trade Brock Bowers for Bo Nix and I can get the boat, but I'm already on my way to getting the draft pick to try to land a yacht, you know?
Well, I mean, the reason why I ask is because I pulled up the 2024 NFL draft, and sure enough, the Raiders, the Broncos drafted Bo Nix with the 12th overall pick, and then the Raiders picked Brock Bowers with the 13th. If the Raiders did not blow out the Broncos that last game of the season last year and had taken their medicine, like, we have mentioned so many times that the Raiders fail to do every single year, the Raiders theoretically could have been in position to draft Bo Nix. And I'm just wondering, obviously hindsight's 2020. Would you have rather at least taken the shot on the quarterback, or would you still rather have Bowers, who's playing very well? But I think we both know it can't be done without a quarterback.
Yeah, again, I think this might technically like maybe be the let's call it politically incorrect answer, but no, I would not rather have Bo Nix. Not because I think Bowers is better for a franchise, but because if you Brock Bowers looks like a generational player. And I genuinely believe that no matter who was playing quarterback for us, they would have sucked what this year on the Raiders. And I think what would be said right now is, wow, Bo Nix fucking sucks if he was a Raider. So why would I rather have that when I have a guy who I'm like bona fide? He's going to be a perennial Pro Bowler, Brock Bowers. All he needs is the right guy throwing to him, and this is going to get disgusting, disgustingly good.
Mm.
So, and they need the right offensive play caller to have both of them be successful. The guy that's throwing the passes and Brock Bowers. But hey, we know that Brock Bowers can get it done either way. He can get funneled the ball.
So let's make our final prediction for this game.
Yep.
I think I already was there. We were correct on these Dolphin picks, by the way. But who are you taking, Mike?
The Broncos with ease.
I am also taking the Broncos. I don't think it's going to be that close.
Yeah. I literally said back, it might have been the Steelers game. I think I might have said maybe the Broncos game. I'm genuinely curious which week. But you can see the way that I've been picking games. Like I said pretty early on the season, I think the Raiders might not win another game other than the Jaguars game.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that Jaguars game might be like literally for the first overall pick. It's between right now. It's the Jags. I don't know the exact order, but it's the Jags, Titans, Raiders, and one other 2-8 team. Don't put that evil out there, please. You know what though? Actually, well,
I feel all right.
The Jags wouldn't pick a quarterback. That's the interesting thing. But that's still sketchy because somebody could trade up. Go ahead.
My hunch right now is that the Jaguars are going to fire Doug Peterson,
I think tomorrow.
Yeah, I think Doug Peterson's going to be fired.
Yeah,
And
because they're going on a bye.
yeah, he's probably going to be fired. And I don't know, do we see Trevor Lawrence the rest of the way? He's kind of dealing with a shoulder injury. He's a little banged up. Like,
Yeah.
do they just shut him down for the year? Let Mac Jones go? Like, I feel like the Raiders are good enough to beat that Jaguars team, but that's looking way too far ahead. So,
Right. I mean, the Jags got embarrassed today by the Lions.
so the Raiders right now, they're in a race for the first overall pick and really kind of a race for maybe a brand new head coach. Frank asks, will Gruden make a return to the Raiders next season? That would explain letting Antonio Pierce hang around. I don't think so.
Yeah, no, I personally, there's been a lot of talk about Gruden the past week. I don't know how to explain it, but like it's not happening. He might get another job as like a quarterbacks coach or a senior offensive advisor. He will not be a head coach again. Bank on it.
It would be cool. No, I think Gruden could get another shot as a head coach. Just maybe not for the Raiders.
I think whatever team does that will look absolutely stupid.
I don't think so.
I fully believe so.
Why would they look stupid?
Because he'll suck. He'll get fired within 3 years. And, he's already got his previous baggage. Bear in mind, I love the dude. Like, I really don't have any, like, negative, like, hate or anything towards him. It's more just, like, my experience from him was he sucked at running a team with, being the guy completely in charge, right? Whereas, say, when he was with the Raiders, Al Davis was in charge. And when he was with the Buccaneers, I don't really even like saying this, but he took over Tony Dungy's team, It's like that team was built to win, right? And then he finally gets his shot to build his team. Just disgustingly bad. Absolutely horrid rebuild by John Gruden. And then, when it finally actually did kind of start working, that's when everything got dropped on him and he gets let go. So you could say, like, oh, he was finally getting it done. Coaches aren't supposed to take 4 years to get it done. And 5 first-round picks within 2 years and just fucking blowing them. Damon Arnett, thank you very much.
Okay, but Sean Payton right now, I mean, a couple years ago, it was, all right, Sean Payton's going to come in. Well, actually, that was last year, huh? This is Payton's second year? Things are trending in the right direction for the Broncos, whereas like maybe at the beginning of the year we were kind of out on Sean Payton.
Yeah,
I don't think Gruden is a great drafter of players. Definitely his tendency is to reach on guys and pause. But to reach on players and just not make very popular picks with fan bases. Like Alex Leatherwood is the guy that jumps out. Cleveland Farrell.
Yeah. I mean, taking Henry Ruggs over Justin Jefferson, I mean, that's hindsight 2020. But, like, it was – I mean, he took – and CeeDee Lamb. Oh, my God, dude.
You liked Henry Ruggs, though.
That
was the guy that you wanted.
No, CeeDee Lamb.
Oh, yeah, you did want CeeDee Lamb.
Yes.
All right. Let's see. So that was...
But I like the idea of Henry Ruggs. I did like the idea of it, and it started working. He started playing really good, especially unfortunately, the year that everything happened to him. He was looking like a true, like, wow, he's looking great. And then,
Okay. Justin Jefferson taken with the 22nd overall pick. Yeah.
So we could have got him with the 19th pick, and we could have took an offensive lineman or a defensive lineman or whatever at 11. Or a better corner. I don't know who.
The correct moves to make was drafting Tristan Wirfs right before the Buccaneers did with the 13th pick.
Yep.
You know, you take Tristan Wirfs with that first pick, and then you take
Jefferson.
You take Justin Jefferson with the 19th.
Yep. Imagine this team right now. Derek Carr would have had better protection and one of the best receivers in the game.
Say you don't take Justin Jefferson, even Brandon Ayuk. Or hell, Jordan Love.
Yeah.
You know, just options.
Right.
So let's see. Let's get to our remaining comments and then we'll get out of here for the night. A couple of these are not 49er comments. I mean, are not Raider comments. So we're going to be sort of possibly jumping back and forth here. Jesus says, why keep saying the Niners let them hang around? How about saying the Niners are not that great? I mean, that's true too. It could just be that the Niners this year are not that great. Cam Ward has talent, but takes a lot of high risk. Takes a lot of high risks. Will throw 3 touchdowns, but 2 interceptions and a fumble. Are you still in on Cam Ward, Mike?
Yeah, I think because I have not watched enough college football, I'm going to try not to overly give my opinion without educating myself properly first. It's just every time I see a Cam Ward highlight, I'm just going, that's what I want. That is exactly what I want for this team. But if I were actually to watch the games in full, I'd probably be like, ooh, I didn't like that throw. That's how it goes for most quarterbacks in college, honestly. It to me, it's always a lot of like when you can see, it's a mix of seeing the potential and then when they're in the big games, like CJ Stroud, when he was obviously he played for Ohio State. I think he was playing Georgia and they barely lost, but it was a bowl game. And I was just sitting there like, dude, that was one of the greatest performances I've seen in a long time from a college quarterback in the spotlight, in the big game against the best team in college. Like I was like, I'm all in on this guy now. You know, like that's why I want Miami to keep winning is because if they can get in some big bowl games, I can really see what Cam Ward does on the big stage, you know? Whereas relative to him, Shedeur Sanders, it's like, I'm sure he's solid. I know he has potential. There's just this aspect of his dad, you know, and really his personality, Shedeur. Just there's this I don't know how to explain it. And granted, I think if Shedeur Sanders were to become the quarterback of the Raiders, I would probably immediately flip my lens of like, ooh, I don't want that to, well, now I just hope it works. Because if it works, I'm going to double down in the opposite direction of like, I love that shit. And everybody's going to hate him. And I love it, you know, because if he's good and he's cocky and he's, you know, whatever you want to call it, oh, I'll eat that up. But if he sucks, terrible.
What do you make of him tweeting, you know?
Thank God every time the Raiders lose. I love it, dude. I fucking love it. That's me too. I should be retweeting them. I really should, but I don't follow them. But I think it's hilarious, for one. And I think it's very obvious. Dude, just for a moment, some people are stupid. Maybe some people just don't know how the draft works. So there was literally like let's say it was Bleacher Report or somebody tweeted like, wow, you know, Shedeur Sanders has been tweeting thank God after every Raiders loss. All the comments were like, wow, he really doesn't want to go there. I'm like, bro, do you not understand what he's doing?
They must be like sarcastic.
I don't know, dude. Like I think a lot of them were, it looked serious. Like they were serious. Like, wow, he really doesn't want to go there. Anyway, to me, it shows that, okay, I really didn't want to go on a Shedeur Sanders thing here, but I will. Deion Sanders has already been on live TV saying that he was asked by somebody, I don't know if it was Keyshawn
Keyshawn Johnson.
Yes, Keyshawn Johnson, about if you were, or if Shadur was in the situation of going high in the draft, and you have these teams that you don't want him to go to, would you like tell those teams he's not going there? Um, and he basically said, "Yep, but I would do it in private." And now, granted, I I'm not the biggest fan of, players before a draft being like, "No, I'm not going there." I'm not the biggest fan of that, but I can respect the we would do it in private.
Yeah.
I can respect it because honestly, that's probably happened a lot more, and I've just never thought of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It
No. No.
probably happens.
Honestly, like the big ones that jump to mind is like the whole Eli
Eli
Manning.
Manning. Yeah.
Yeah, that situation and how it was public, and that's why we remember it. But yeah, I mean, I do think that happens all the time, and I mean, it's like I'm not gonna go over here and say, oh, these players should just. I am of the opinion that if you get drafted somewhere, all right, dude, you gotta play out, your rookie deal. Like you need the NFL more than the NFL needs you. Like that's
Yeah.
kind of how I stand on like players who don't want to play for certain teams. But
Yeah.
I
I do have a
do,
counterpoint, but continue.
I do, I do at least appreciate, being professional about it and doing it behind closed doors and
Yeah.
not like being a baby about it and like
Yes. Making it
publicizing
overly
to the
dramatic.
world. Yeah,
Yes.
being way too dramatic about it.
Yep.
You know,
And I'll even add to Deion Sanders' point. I should have actually been more clear on what he said. He said it depends on the situation, not like the franchise. It's more of like, because he was like, Shadur has been in situations where he's had a horrible offensive line and yet he's still produced.
yeah,
It's more of the coaching to Dion, and I can agree with that. That's kind of my point that I've been saying the past couple weeks is not only do they need to get the right quarterback, they need to get the right coach, and with that, you need to have the right GM to bring in the talent, right, that fits the coach and his style. But if you have coaches on a staff, and it's just like they've never been successful with the quarterback before, why the fuck would I want my son to go there? Yeah, I don't blame him for thinking that. That was his point. Was like, I want my son to go somewhere where I believe he will be successful. Every dad wants that naturally, right? So I don't blame him at all. And that's where the coaching decision for the Raiders is massive, right? Not that we need to be praying that Shadur wants to come here, but regardless, we need the right coach in the building to build up and develop our quarterback, whether it's Shadur Sanders or not. But now there's this added element of like, well, if you get the wrong coach, is that camp going to decide, no, we're not playing for you? Like, don't even try it. Good luck with that. Draft somebody else. That's tough. And then the counterpoint to like, you don't, or the NFL doesn't need you, you need the NFL. I agree with that. But the one thing that I would say is wise for a player, mostly quarterbacks, really, like any other position, you can't assume whether your career is going to be positive or negative coming into a team.
yeah,
Like if you're a wide receiver, okay, the team sucks. That sucks. You're going to lose a lot. You're probably going to get fed the ball a lot, Maybe running backs, it's like, wow, this team really fucking sucks. Like my job is going to suck, right? But for quarterbacks, it's like you can literally, I'm sure you can look at the coaching staff, you can look at the team's past couple of years' history and look at the roster and be like, that's going to be garbage. And because of that, I'm going to end up being a backup, and that's going to change my, career earnings from hundreds of millions of dollars to maybe tens of millions, which to us is like, oh, boo fucking who? But it's a massive change, right? It's like that's their livelihood. So I don't blame them. It's just you know, at the same time, I agree. It's like, hey, no matter what, you're getting paid, but you want success. That's what you want, and you should, like, above all, you should want team success. But the, like, it's just tough. Like, if you get put in the wrong situation, like, let's just say, random name here, Blake Bortles, just random, or Jameis Winston. Like, he went to the Buccaneers, things didn't work out, right? But let's just say he went to the right team, like the right team traded up and got him, and just he becomes a stud immediately. Like, I mean, like a CJ Stroud, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's just that's a huge difference as far as what their career becomes, and their career earnings.
Yeah, like who's to say if CJ Stroud was on the Panthers that we would still think very, as highly of him as we do? Or who's
Right.
to say if Bryce Young was on the Texans, maybe we think a lot higher on Bryce Young than we do.
Yep. And like I said, Bo Nix going to the Raiders this year, he probably would have sucked.
Yeah. So definitely that plays a big part in it. But like, I'm talking about like the guys that are like, yeah, you know what? I'm not going to sign my rookie contract.
Yeah. No, I know.
That
Once you
kind of
get
stuff.
drafted,
It's like once you get drafted, all right, come on, just you got to hit the ball rolling if you want to have a good career.
you got to be a
Make it,
pro.
yeah, be a professional. Like that's
Yep.
the thing is transitioning from college to the professionals. Show the teams that you're willing, you're willing to work with them, willing to be professional, and then good things will happen.
Yeah.
So
So really, the most power at the end of the day, the most power that Shadur Sanders has is to keep thanking God. Because at the end of the day, if the Titans wanted to, they could draft him.
mhm.
So
Yeah. So Frank Weber says, we just don't expect the Niners to lose a game where the opponent scores a whopping 20 points. It's on Coach Shit in hand. I've never heard that one before, but that's pretty
that's
good.
good.
That's
That's good.
pretty good. Coach Shit in hand. Yeah. I don't know if I'll use that very often, but I definitely will remember that.
Yeah.
What are some other, like, I guess nicknames that you could give, players or coaches based on their name? Like I do remember back in the day, where some people would call Colin Kaepernick Colin Sackerpick.
That's good. I know there's a couple out there, but I can't think of them off the top of my head.
Yeah, I can't think of any. But if we do think of any in the next show, we will definitely bring it up.
Bo Picks.
Bo Picks or Mo Picks.
Mo Picks, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I got nothing. This was a good show, huh, Mike?
It was a good show.